The day everything fell apart. Jack was not a lazy person. He woke up early every morning, drank his coffee quietly, and tried to believe that his life was moving forward. But deep inside, something always felt heavy. He knew something was missing, even if he could not explain it. Jack had a dream job. Or at least, he thought it was his dream job. He worked in an international company where English was very important. Emails, meetings, phone calls, presentations. Everything was in English. At first, Jack believed he could survive with basic English. Simple words, short sentences, silence, when things became difficult. But silence has a price. Every day at work, Jack felt smaller. When his coworkers spoke fast, he smiled and nodded. When his boss asked questions, his heart started beating hard. He understood some words, but not the meaning. He wanted to speak, but fear locked his mouth. Fear is a strange thing. It tells you to stay quiet. It tells you not to try. It tells you that you are not good enough. One day, Jack made a mistake. Not because he was stupid, not because he did not care, but because he did not understand an important email written in English. That mistake changed everything. His boss called him into the office. The room was quiet, too quiet. Jack sat down, holding his hands together, trying to stay calm. His boss spoke slowly, but the words still felt sharp. "We need someone who can communicate clearly," his boss said. Jack understood that sentence very well. That was the day Jack lost his job. That was the day Jack lost his confidence. That was the day Jack felt ashamed of himself. He walked out of the building with empty hands and a heavy heart. People around him were busy. Cars were moving. Life was normal for everyone else. But for Jack, everything had stopped. At home, Jack sat alone in his room. No phone calls, no messages, just silence. He asked himself painful questions. Why didn't I learn English earlier? Why was I so afraid to speak? Is it too late for me now? That night, Jack did not sleep well, but something strange happened. For the first time, he was honest with himself. He realized that English was not his enemy, fear was. And in that quiet moment, Jack made a small decision. Not a big promise, not a loud motivation, just a simple thought. I will change my life, one step at a time. That was the beginning, not the success, not the confidence, just the beginning. A small decision in a quiet room. The next morning, Jack woke up before his alarm. The room was still dark, and the world outside was silent. For a few seconds, he forgot everything. Then reality came back. No job, no confidence, no clear future. Jack sat on the edge of his bed and stared at the floor. He felt tired, not in his body, but in his mind. He wanted to stay in bed and disappear for the day, but something inside him refused. He remembered the sentence from last night. I will change my life, one step at a time. It sounded simple, almost stupid, but simple was all he had. Jack did not open social media. He did not complain. He did not blame the world. Instead, he opened his old laptop. The laptop was slow, just like his English, but it worked. Jack typed 2 words into the search bar. Learn English. Thousands of videos appeared. Fluent in 30 days. Speak like a native. English without effort. Jack smiled, but not because he believed them. He knew the truth. There was no magic. There was no shortcut. He clicked on a simple video. A man was speaking slowly, using easy words. The story was about daily life. No pressure, no complex grammar. Jack listened. At first, his mind wandered. Then he focused again. Then he listened one more time. For the first time, English did not feel like a wall. It felt like a door. Jack took a notebook from his drawer. It was empty, just like his confidence. He wrote his first English sentence carefully. I want to learn English. The handwriting was ugly. The sentence was simple, but it was real. Jack read the sentence out loud. His voice was low. His pronunciation was wrong. He did it again and again. Nobody was watching. Nobody was judging. That freedom felt new. Later that day, Jack went for a walk. The city looked the same, but he felt different. He noticed English words on signs, on posters, on people's phones. English was everywhere, and he was done running from it. That evening, Jack made a rule for himself. Every day, I will spend time with English. Even if I am tired. Even if I am afraid. Even if I feel stupid. Not 5 hours. Not perfection. Just daily practice. Before sleeping, Jack wrote one more sentence in his notebook. I lost my job, but I did not lose myself. He closed the notebook and turned off the light. Jack still had no job. He still had fear. He still had problems. But now, he had direction. And sometimes, direction is more powerful than motivation. The day he almost quit. 1 week passed. Jack followed his rule. Every day, he spent time with English. Some days were good. Some days were heavy. This day was heavy. Jack sat at his small desk with his notebook open. English words filled the pages, but they felt messy and confusing. He listened to a short story again and again, but his mind refused to cooperate. The speaker talked. The words came fast. Too fast. Jack paused the video. He felt something rising in his chest. Not anger. Not sadness. Frustration. I am not improving, he whispered. He looked at his notebook. The same basic words. The same mistakes. The same problems with pronunciation. A thought appeared in his mind, quiet, but dangerous. Maybe I'm not smart enough. Jack leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. He remembered school. Teachers speaking fast. Classmates laughing. The feeling of being left behind. English had always made him feel small. He opened his phone without thinking and scrolled. People online looked successful, confident, fluent. Everyone seemed ahead of him. Jack compared his beginning to their middle. That was his mistake. He closed the phone and stood up. He walked around the room, breathing slowly. He wanted to quit. Not just the lesson, everything. What's the point? He said to the empty room. No answer came. Jack sat down again. But this time, he didn't open the video. He opened his notebook and went back to page 1. The first sentence he ever wrote. I want to learn English. He stared at it. He remembered how scared he felt writing that line. How weak his voice sounded when he read it out loud. How proud he felt. Anyway, Jack smiled slightly. He realized something important. He was judging progress by speed, not by direction. So he changed the plan. He stopped chasing fluency. He stopped trying to understand everything. Instead, he chose one short paragraph. Just one. He listened slowly. He paused. He repeated, word by word, sentence by sentence. It took him 30 minutes to understand 4 lines. And that was okay. Jack spoke the sentences out loud, alone in his room. His accent was still there. His grammar was still imperfect. But the sentences made sense. For the first time that day, he felt calm. Before sleeping, Jack wrote another sentence in his notebook. Slow progress is still progress. He underlined it. That night, Jack didn't feel confident. He didn't feel successful, but he didn't quit. And sometimes, not quitting is the real victory. The small win nobody noticed. The next morning, Jack woke up earlier than usual. Not because he was motivated. Not because he was confident. He woke up because his mind was quiet. No heavy thoughts. No loud fear. Just silence. Jack made a cup of tea and sat near the window. The city was still waking up. Cars moved slowly. People walked with sleepy faces. He opened his notebook. Instead of starting something new, Jack read what he studied yesterday. The same short paragraph. The same simple sentences. And then something strange happened. He understood it. Not by guessing. Not by translating every word. He understood it naturally. Jack blinked and read it again. Still clear. His heart beat a little faster. This is new, he said softly. For the first time, English didn't feel like a wall. It felt like a door that was slightly open. Jack played the audio again. He didn't pause this time. The voice sounded slower, friendlier. He repeated the sentences. His pronunciation wasn't perfect, but it was better than before. No one clapped. No one noticed. No one knew. But Jack knew. That small win changed his day. Later, Jack went outside to buy groceries. At the store, he heard 2 people speaking English. Usually, he avoided listening. It made him nervous. Today, he didn't. He didn't understand everything, but he caught a few words. Familiar words. Words he had studied. Jack smiled without realizing it. Back home, he opened his phone and searched for a short English story. Not a hard one. Not a long one. Simple. He listened while cleaning his room. He didn't force himself to understand every sentence. He let the language flow. English became part of his day, not a fight. Before sleeping, Jack wrote again in his notebook. Small wins matter. He didn't underline it this time. He didn't need to. Jack finally understood something important. Big change doesn't arrive loudly. It comes quietly, through small moments. And this was just the beginning. English becomes part of his life. Days passed quietly. Jack didn't wake up suddenly fluent. He didn't become confident overnight. But something was changing. Every morning, he spent 30 minutes with English. Not more, not less. He didn't force long hours. He respected his energy. Some days he read, some days he listened, some days he only repeated sentences. No pressure. Jack stopped asking himself one dangerous question. How long will this take? Instead, he asked a better one. What can I do today? One afternoon, Jack went for a walk. He put his earphones in and played a simple English story. The voice was calm. The words were slow. He walked and listened. Not like a student, like a person. English was no longer a subject. It was a sound in his life. At a cafe, Jack ordered coffee. The menu was in English. Before, this scared him. Now, he read it slowly. He understood enough. Enough was good. The barista asked, "Anything else?" Jack froze for half a second. Then he answered, "No, thank you." His voice was quiet, but clear. The barista smiled and nodded. That was it. 2 words. But those 2 words stayed in Jack's mind all day. At home, Jack stood in front of the mirror. He spoke to himself in English. Simple sentences. My name is Jack. I am learning English. I'm not afraid. He laughed at his accent. Then he tried again. Jack made mistakes. Many mistakes. Wrong grammar. Wrong pronunciation. But something important happened. He stopped feeling ashamed. Mistakes became normal. In the evening, Jack wrote another line in his notebook. English lives with me now. He didn't study harder. He studied smarter. He didn't chase perfection. He chased consistency. Jack didn't know it yet, but this habit would change everything. Slowly, quietly, permanently. The first real challenge. A few weeks had passed. Jack felt better. Small wins had built his confidence. But life has a way of testing you when you feel safe. One morning, Jack received an email. A new project at work. Even though he had no job, he was helping a friend on a small online project. This was supposed to be simple, just reading instructions in English and summarizing them. Jack opened the document. The sentences were long, complicated, full of words he had never seen before. His stomach tightened. His hands shook slightly. He felt the familiar weight of fear. What if I fail? He whispered. What if I am too slow? He could have closed the laptop, walked away, done nothing. But Jack remembered the small rule he had set for himself. Do something every day. He took a deep breath. He read the first sentence slowly, word by word. He paused. He repeated. He wrote notes. It took a long time, much longer than he expected. Hours passed. Jack made mistakes. Many mistakes. He misunderstood some sentences. He miswrote a few words. Frustration returned. He felt like giving up. He leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. For a moment, he remembered the old Jack, the one who froze in meetings, the one who stayed silent, the one who avoided English completely. That Jack would have quit. But this Jack knew Jack, he didn't quit. He opened the document again. He slowed down even more. He took it paragraph by paragraph, sentence by sentence. By evening, he had finished half of the project. It was messy, imperfect, slow, but it was finished. Jack smiled, quietly. He wrote in his notebook, progress matters more than speed. He realized something powerful. Fear was still there. Mistakes were still there. But action mattered more than fear. Jack went to bed that night exhausted, but proud. Small actions every day were building something bigger than he had ever imagined. And this was only the beginning of facing real challenges. Stepping out of the comfort zone. The next day, Jack felt a little braver. The previous challenge had tested him, but he had survived. He knew progress was slow, but real. Jack decided it was time to speak English with someone else. Not online, not in videos, a real person. He signed up for a small language exchange group online. A video call was scheduled with a native speaker. Jack's hands shook as he clicked the link. The screen lit up. A cheerful face appeared. "Hello, I'm Sarah," she said. Jack froze for a moment. His mouth wanted to speak. His mind wanted to hide. "Hi," he whispered. Sarah smiled. "Don't worry, we will go slow. Just talk." Jack tried. He stumbled over words. He paused too long. He forgot some sentences. Sarah didn't laugh. She waited patiently. She encouraged him with a smile and gentle words. Jack felt relief. For the first time, English didn't feel like a test. It felt like a conversation. After 15 minutes, Jack realized something important. Fear didn't go away. Mistakes didn't disappear. But action made fear smaller. Jack ended the call feeling tired, but alive. His notebook that evening read, "Action shrinks fear." He understood a truth most people never learn. You don't need confidence to start. You start, and confidence follows. The next challenge came quickly. Jack had to record a short English video for the group. Just 1 minute. He hesitated. His heart raced. His hands trembled. He could have avoided it. He could have said, "Not today." But he didn't. He pressed record. He spoke slowly. He made mistakes. He corrected himself. He laughed at himself a little. By the end, he watched the video. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't fluent. But it was real. It was Jack speaking. He wrote in his notebook, "Real progress begins at the edge of comfort." Jack realized that comfort was the enemy of growth. And that night, as he fell asleep, he felt something new. He was no longer afraid to start again tomorrow. The first signs of real progress. The next morning, Jack woke up early as usual. The air was quiet. The city outside his window was still half asleep. Jack sat on the edge of his bed and thought about yesterday. He had faced his fear. He had spoken in English to a stranger. He had recorded a video. He felt tired, but something deeper had changed. A small spark of confidence had appeared. Jack made his morning routine like before. He drank water. He stretched his body. He opened his notebook. Today, he decided to do something new. He would write a short story in English. Just a few sentences. Nothing perfect. He struggled at first. The words didn't come easily. He had to look up several words. He rewrote sentences. He erased some lines. He started over more than once. At one point, he wanted to give up. The story felt impossible. His mistakes were obvious. He could hear the voice in his head saying, "You are not ready. You will never be good enough." Jack took a deep breath. He closed his eyes. He remembered the small victories of the past week. "I have faced fear before. I have acted before. I can do it again." He opened his eyes and picked up his pen. One word at a time. One sentence at a time. The story began to take shape. It was messy. The grammar was far from perfect. The sentences were simple, but they made sense. Jack read the story out loud. He stumbled on some words. He corrected himself. He laughed at a few mistakes. And then, something amazing happened. The story flowed. Not perfectly, not quickly, but he understood the meaning as he spoke. Jack felt a warmth in his chest. A feeling of accomplishment. The first real sign of progress. Later that day, he joined the language exchange group again. He shared his short story with Sarah and the others. They smiled. They encouraged him. They praised his effort. Not because it was perfect, but because it was real. Jack realized something important. Learning was not about being perfect. It was about showing up consistently. It was about taking small steps every day. Before sleeping, Jack wrote in his notebook, "Real progress is quiet. It happens when no one is watching. It happens when I keep going, even when I feel afraid." For the first time, he felt proud of his journey. Not because it was easy, not because he was fluent, but because he had acted. He had moved forward. And Jack knew this was only the beginning. Facing the unexpected. The next morning, Jack woke up with a strange mix of excitement and nervousness. Yesterday's success made him feel capable, but he also knew that learning was never smooth. He opened his notebook and planned the day. Today, he would try something he had avoided for months. Listening to a full English podcast without pausing. He chose a short one, about 5 minutes, about a simple life story. He put on his earphones. The voice started. The words came fast, faster than he had expected. He felt that old panic rising. Jack wanted to stop. He wanted to pause. He wanted to rewind. Then he remembered his rule. Action matters more than fear. He didn't pause. He listened carefully. Even when he didn't understand everything, he kept listening. He noted a few words. He guessed meanings. He stayed focused. 5 minutes felt like 15. Jack repeated the podcast once. He tried again. Each time, he understood a little more. By the third time, something clicked. He could follow the main idea. He could even repeat some sentences aloud. Jack's heart raced. He smiled. For the first time, English sounded like a real language, not a series of impossible sounds. Later that day, a new challenge appeared. A friend sent him a message in English, asking him a question. Normally, Jack would have ignored it. Today, he didn't. He read the message. He paused. He wrote a careful reply. He didn't use a translator. He didn't copy sentences. He used the words he had learned. The friend replied immediately, smiling emojis all over. Jack laughed. Not because the reply was perfect, but because he had communicated in English. That evening, Jack wrote in his notebook, "Progress shows itself in small moments. Every challenge is a chance to grow. Fear does not go away, but action makes it smaller." Jack realized that day that real learning wasn't about hours spent. It was about facing the unexpected and choosing to act even when afraid. Building the habit. Jack woke up the next morning with a quiet determination. He had felt small victories in the past days, but today, he wanted something bigger. Not big achievements, not instant fluency, just a habit. Jack made a simple plan. 30 minutes listening, 15 minutes speaking, 15 minutes writing. He didn't overcomplicate it. He didn't aim for perfection. He aimed for consistency. He started with listening. A short story played. Jack followed every word slowly. He paused only once or twice. Next, speaking. Jack read sentences aloud. He didn't care about his accent. He repeated mistakes. He corrected them. He repeated again. Finally, writing. Jack wrote a short paragraph about his day. Not perfect sentences. Not fancy words. Just clear thoughts in English. When he finished, he smiled. Not because the work was flawless, but because he had done it every single step. Later, Jack realized something important. Consistency beats intensity. 1 hour every day is better than 5 hours once a week. Jack decided to stick to this schedule. No excuses. No skipping. Days passed. Jack followed the same routine. Some days were easy. Some days were hard. Some days he made mistakes. Some days he felt like quitting. But the habit stayed. The action stayed. And little by little, English became part of his daily life. Jack wrote in his notebook that night, "Small actions done daily beat big actions done once." Consistency is the secret no one talks about. Habits shape who I am more than motivation ever will. That night, he fell asleep, knowing something crucial. Success was not a sudden event. It was the result of daily choices. The choice to show up. The choice to act. The choice to persist. And Jack knew he had just crossed a threshold. He was no longer someone trying to learn English. He was someone living it every day. The first real result. Weeks passed, and Jack's daily habit continued. Some days were smooth. Some days were slow. Some days he felt like giving up. But every day he acted. One evening, Jack received an email. It was from an online forum where he had submitted a short story in English. A few weeks ago, the subject line read, "Feedback on your story." Jack opened it nervously. He read the first line, "Great effort. Your story is clear and understandable. Keep writing." Jack's heart raced. He read the entire email. The reviewer highlighted words he had spelled correctly, sentences that were easy to understand, ideas that flowed naturally. Jack couldn't believe it. He had written that story alone, without anyone helping him, and someone actually understood it and appreciated it. He jumped up and smiled. A small victory? No, a big confirmation. All the small steps he had taken had created real results. Jack sat down and reflected. He realized that consistency had built confidence, not talent, not luck, just showing up every day. He opened his notebook and wrote, "Progress is visible when I keep acting. Small actions accumulate into real results. Consistency wins." Later, Jack practiced speaking. He read aloud the same story he had written. This time, he felt the words flowing. He made fewer mistakes. He pronounced more clearly. He understood more of what he read. That night, Jack shared his story with Sarah in the language group. She applauded his effort. Other members commented positively. Jack realized something. Real feedback mattered, but it didn't define him. He had done the work. He had taken the steps. And the results were proof that progress comes from action, not from waiting for the perfect moment. Jack went to sleep that night proud, but calm. He understood now that English was no longer a goal, it was a journey. Facing a bigger challenge. The following week, Jack woke up feeling uneasy. He had grown confident in small tasks, but today a new challenge awaited him. His friend invited him to a group video call with several English speakers from around the world. Jack's heart raced. He wanted to accept. He wanted to refuse. The old Jack would have refused. He would have stayed silent. He would have avoided embarrassment. But the new Jack knew something important. Growth happens at the edge of fear. He joined the call. At first, he stayed quiet. He listened. The speakers talked fast. The words came in waves. Jack felt a surge of panic. He closed his eyes for a moment. He reminded himself, "I have faced fear before. I can do it again." Jack opened his eyes. He spoke. A few words. Simple sentences. Not perfect. Not fluent. But he spoke. The group smiled. They encouraged him. They asked questions. Jack answered slowly. He corrected himself when needed. He repeated sentences when he forgot. Minutes passed. Jack's confidence grew. His fear decreased. The conversation flowed. By the end, he realized something new. English was no longer a set of rules or lessons. It was a tool to connect, to communicate, to act. That night, Jack wrote in his notebook, "Real challenges show real growth. Fear will always appear, but action makes it smaller. Every conversation is a step forward." Jack felt proud, not because he was perfect, not because he spoke flawlessly, but because he tried. He acted. He didn't hide. He knew this lesson would stay with him. And as he fell asleep, he smiled, knowing that the bigger the challenge, the bigger the growth, the first real success. Days turned into weeks, and Jack kept practicing every single day. He followed his habit, listening, speaking, writing. He faced fears. He joined conversations. He made mistakes. And he learned from every single one. One afternoon, Jack received an invitation to submit a story to a small online magazine. It was a real opportunity, something that could be seen by hundreds of people. Jack hesitated. He felt the familiar fear creeping in. What if they reject me? What if my English is not good enough? Then he remembered his journey, all the small steps, all the imperfect efforts, all the moments he had chosen action over fear. He decided to submit the story. The waiting period felt long. Jack checked his email every hour. He felt nervous, anxious, and excited all at once. Finally, the reply came. "Congratulations. Your story has been accepted. We loved your clear style and unique perspective." Jack couldn't believe it. He read the email again and again. It was real. His English was being recognized and appreciated. He jumped up. He laughed. He felt a wave of pride he had never felt before. Jack realized a powerful lesson. Effort compounded over time leads to tangible success. Not because he was perfect. Not because he was lucky. Because he kept showing up. Because he kept acting. Because he didn't let fear stop him. That evening, Jack wrote in his notebook, "Small steps, daily action, facing fear, consistency. This is how real success is built." For the first time, Jack felt that all his hard work had meaning. It was proof that progress is not instant, but inevitable, when you act every day. He smiled, knowing that bigger challenges were coming. But now, he had confidence. Now, he had proof that he could succeed. Jack went to bed feeling proud, but calm. The journey was long, but the path was clear. He had learned the value of persistence and action, reinforcing small wins. Jack woke up the next morning feeling a quiet sense of achievement. The magazine acceptance had boosted his confidence, but Jack knew that one success was not enough. Real growth came from repeating small wins every day. He opened his notebook and planned the day. He would follow his usual routine, but add one new step: recording a short video of himself reading the story aloud. At first, Jack hesitated. He felt nervous about his pronunciation. He feared making mistakes on camera. He remembered how uncomfortable he had felt in previous recordings. But Jack also remembered something he had learned: action shrinks fear. He set up his camera. He took a deep breath. He started speaking. The first attempt was shaky. Words stumbled out. Sentences felt clumsy. Jack didn't stop. He took a moment, then tried again. This time it was smoother. Some words still tripped him, but the flow improved. He recorded 3 takes. By the end, he listened to the playback. He noticed improvement. He noticed mistakes corrected. He noticed his progress. Jack smiled and wrote in his notebook, "Small actions repeated daily lead to bigger results. Mistakes are not failures, they are proof of effort. Consistency is the foundation of growth." Later that day, Jack shared the video with his language group. He received encouraging feedback. He saw that people appreciated the courage to act, not perfection. Jack realized that day, confidence is built, not given. It grows from taking action, facing fear, and reinforcing small wins. That night, Jack felt a calm excitement. He knew tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he also knew that he was ready to face them, one step at a time. Jack closed his notebook, thinking, "Every small win compounds into a real transformation. I am building my future, one action at a time." A real opportunity. Jack woke up that morning with a mix of excitement and nerves. He had been practicing for weeks. He had written stories, recorded videos, spoken to strangers, faced fear, and built consistency. Now, a new opportunity had arrived. An online English competition announced a chance to present a 5-minute speech live in front of an international audience. Jack stared at the email. His heart raced. The old Jack would have ignored it. The old Jack would have thought, "I'm not ready. I will embarrass myself." But the new Jack knew something important. Fear is a signal of growth, not a barrier. He took a deep breath and accepted the challenge. He began preparing immediately. First, he wrote his speech. He focused on clarity, simplicity, and honesty. He didn't try to impress anyone with complicated words. He wanted to be understood. Next, he practiced aloud. At first, his voice shook. He stumbled on words. He forgot sentences. Jack didn't stop. He repeated the speech multiple times. He recorded himself. He watched the playback. He corrected mistakes. He improved. Days passed, and he practiced every morning and evening. His confidence grew with each repetition. The fear decreased slightly, replaced by readiness. Finally, the day of the live presentation arrived. Jack sat in front of his computer, microphone ready. He looked at the audience's faces on the screen. His palms were sweaty. His heart beat fast. He remembered his journey, the small steps, the habits, the consistency, the failures, and the progress. Jack took a deep breath and began to speak. The first words were shaky, but he didn't stop. He continued. He spoke slowly, clearly, and from the heart. He smiled. Naturally, he made small pauses to think. Minutes passed. Jack noticed that the audience was listening attentively. They nodded. They reacted positively. By the end of his speech, Jack realized he had done it. He had faced a real challenge. He had communicated confidently in English. After the competition, several viewers sent messages. "Great job. Your speech is inspiring. You are brave and clear. Keep going." Jack felt a deep sense of pride. Not because he was perfect, not because he won, but because he had acted when it mattered most. Because he had turned fear into action. Because he had shown himself that consistent effort leads to real results. That night, Jack wrote in his notebook, "Opportunities are not always perfect. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action despite fear. Every step I take builds my confidence and skill." Jack fell asleep knowing one thing clearly. Life rewards those who act consistently, even in small steps, and face their fears bravely. Applying skills in daily life. The morning after the competition, Jack felt a quiet excitement. He had faced a real challenge and survived. But he knew that success was not about a single event. It was about applying what he had learned every day. Jack decided to integrate English into his daily routine in new ways. He started by talking to himself in English while doing morning tasks. Making breakfast became a time to practice vocabulary. Pouring coffee, he described the steps aloud. Walking outside, he narrated what he saw. Next, he listened to English conversations while commuting. He tried to catch words he knew. He guessed meanings of unknown words. He repeated phrases silently. During lunch, Jack wrote short journal entries. Not long essays. Not complicated sentences. Just simple reflections about his day. In the afternoon, he challenged himself further. He joined a live online discussion group. He contributed ideas, asked questions, and answered others. Sometimes he stumbled. Sometimes he paused, but he never withdrew. Jack noticed something incredible. The more he applied English in daily life, the easier it became. His brain started thinking in English naturally. Listening felt faster. Speaking felt smoother. Even mistakes felt like learning moments, not failures. That evening, Jack reflected in his notebook. Growth is not just practice in isolation. It is using skills in real situations, facing discomfort, and learning from every moment. Every day offers opportunities to apply knowledge. Action compounds over time. Jack smiled as he closed his notebook. He understood now that mastery comes from daily use, not occasional effort. Every word spoken, every sentence written, every thought expressed in English was a step forward. He went to bed feeling proud, but calm. Jack knew the journey was ongoing. He also knew that each day, no matter how small, added up to real progress. The social challenge. A few days later, Jack received an invitation from his friend Sarah. Join a group project with international students, she wrote. They will collaborate in English. It will be fun. Jack's heart raced. He felt excitement and fear at the same time. This was bigger than a story submission or a small speech. It was real-life collaboration, real-time thinking, real expectations. The first day of the project, Jack logged in early. He saw 10 faces on the screen. People from different countries, different accents, different cultures. Jack felt nervous. He remembered old habits. Stay quiet. Don't speak. Don't make mistakes. But he shook his head. He reminded himself of the lessons he had learned. Fear is normal. Action is growth. Small steps matter. Consistency pays. He started by listening carefully. He followed instructions. He asked questions when unclear. His sentences were simple. Sometimes he stumbled. Sometimes he paused. The group was patient. They encouraged him. They accepted mistakes. Jack noticed something amazing. Every attempt built his confidence. Every interaction made speaking easier. Every mistake became a lesson. By the end of the week, Jack could contribute ideas clearly. He could ask questions without hesitation. He could express his thoughts naturally. He reflected in his notebook. Real-life situations teach faster than practice alone. Communication is not about perfection. It is about courage, clarity, and persistence. Every interaction is a chance to grow. Jack smiled. He realized that the real value of learning was not just understanding English. It was using it to connect, express, and act in the world. That night, he went to sleep feeling proud. Not because he had mastered everything. Not because he was perfect. But because he kept moving forward. He had transformed fear into confidence, and action into skill. Reflection and moving forward. The project had ended, and Jack felt a sense of accomplishment. He looked back at his journey, from the first shaky words to the confident conversations, from small stories written alone to collaborating with people from around the world, from fear to action, from hesitation to persistence. Jack opened his notebook and wrote, "I have learned that growth is not instant. It comes step by step, action by action. Fear will always appear, but action reduces it. Consistency turns small wins into real progress. Every day matters. Every effort counts." He smiled as he reflected. Success was not about perfection. It was about showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process. Jack realized that learning English had become more than just a skill. It was a mirror for life itself. It taught him patience, courage, persistence, and the value of daily action. He thought of the challenges ahead. He knew there would be bigger obstacles, but now he had tools, confidence, practice, habit, and resilience. He knew he could face anything with consistency and courage. Jack closed his notebook. He whispered to himself, "Tomorrow is another chance, another step, another small victory." And with that, he rested, proud but humble, ready to keep growing. If Jack's journey inspired you, remember, you can start today, one small step at a time. Take action, face your fears, and build your skills consistently. Your progress may be slow, but it is real and lasting. Like, share, and subscribe to follow more inspiring stories and learn practical life skills every day. Remember, your growth is in your hands. One step today shapes your tomorrow.